G'day, it's Warnie here, coach of the Warn Dogs. This is your fantasy fix with the goat and the dog, and I have got the goat with me, Drew Jones. Welcome, mate.
Warn Dog, how are you? Geez, there's a bit going on right now. When you take you behind the curtain of when we're recording, Nick Daicos has just been a late withdrawal from Thursday Night Football. And gee whiz, there is a bit going on, scrambling at both ends here.
So we're not doing our Friday record because we want to have a good Friday, and Drew, I think we're going to hear your dulcet tones on the VFL tomorrow if you want to tune into that on the Friday morning. But you're shaking your head. We want to hear you, mate.
Don't tune in. The VFL. Don't tune in.
Anyway, we are going to talk round 4. This is the last of our early bye round, so we don't have the Thursday night to talk about, except for the fact that we've got Nick Daicos as a laid out. Are you covering it? Have you got someone there?
Nah, it's just going to be a 0.
Yep.
Goats?
Oh, well. Are you making any trades before tonight's game?
No, my trades will be starting with Rochelle coming in for tomorrow night and McKercher a bit later in the round. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing the double value play. Love it. Love it. All right, let's get stuck in then.
Ride Nick.
Yeah, ride Nick, we have to, I think. There's not really much choice on that one. Let's go. You'll be at Etihad Stadium, will you? Or Marvel Stadium, sorry, for North Melbourne and Carlton?
North Melbourne and Carlton. Super Ash, we can't wait.
We've got Zach Banch in, Jack Darling in. Lockie Doverston has been rested for this one, and X, obviously, with that 3-week suspension. Nick Newman comes back for the Blues. Jordan Boyd, Adam Chera, and also Wade Dirksen in for debut. Harry Dean is out injured. Zach Williams out injured. And we've seen Chesser and Hudson O'Keefe omitted. All right, what we're looking at here, named on the half-forward flank, Colby, but all things are pointing towards him being half-back again.
Yeah, trained the backs during the week, didn't he? And looked fantastic. Teaming out with Luke Parker, lots of rebounding, lots of ball in hand, lots of observable first from Colby. And then, I mean, to be honest, a half-back role mixed with a bit of time in the midfield, that's pretty much the dream fantasy role. So his price pretty much the same as what it was at the start of the year. So it seems like a slam dunk if that's the way you want to go for a value player that's going to punch your scores.
So you said you're getting him. If you don't get him, probably still be able to get him next week. Another week of data, saying all right. But it is, I guess, can't believe we're talking about this as a Blues matchup, a little bit like the Bombers. We did see a big score last week, and it might be the same again.
Yeah, expecting a big score, to be honest. And the way that him and Luke Parker were chipping it around to each other last week, I think both of them will score very well. And then I'm excited to see Newman because, of course, we know pretty heavily discounted after not playing much last year. He might be a guy that we're looking at to bring him pretty soon.
It would be a nice one. There are some value plays there for the back line as well as then the big boys that we've got next week because we've got GWS and St Kilda on the bye, which I reckon there'll be some targets. Sheasel, vice-captain or captain, happy?
Yeah, especially, I mean, I wasn't going to see Nick tonight anyway, but I think Sheasel makes the sense to play. Really, doesn't he? Again, in what's going to be a potential big matchup for him.
We'll be. We're rolling along with our Blamires. We'll be fine and all of that. But, yeah, let's move on because there's a big game on in the night. 7:15 start that one is, and that is the Crows against Freo. So Rob is in with Taylor Walker, Jordan Dawson, James Borlace, Finbar Marley, Chase Jones, and Luke Nangchev has been omitted. Jordan Butt's out injured. No changes for Freo. But Rob's the big one there. So we've got Lockie McAndrew still named as the number one ruck, and we do have Rob on the bench. But where's your thoughts with this now? What are you thinking? Because most of us are in the R2 boat.
I think just let's thank God that it's happened still in best 18.
Yeah.
And we just get a week now to assess, is it a chance that Riley is only in for 1 week, and that save us going into next week having our full teams. But ultimately, I've done some research here.
Ooh.
Almost every team in the AFL is now going with some sort of dual ruck setup.
In vogue.
The only solo ruck setup left are Gawn, Sherry, Witts, English, Grundy, and Pitnet. Every other team is running some sort of dual setup. You'd think Nick Bryan going to come in maybe next week or the week after, potentially teaming up with Blackiston. Jordan Sweet, playing as a solo, but not really producing much from a fantasy perspective. There's a lot of options for us right now in the ruck space. So it's pretty important over the next week or so that we start to assess our options of where we actually can go and just hope that Riley O'Brien is just a 1 week wonder to take on Jackson and Darcy.
Yep.
But it does put us all in a very interesting position for next week, doesn't it?
It does. It's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's one of those ones that we'll clearly watch now, I guess, to see exactly where that looks for us. We get this week's data. He's still a rookie, so you can still sort of hide behind that. And he's still got cash to make if he's still playing in the side. So I don't think it's big panic stations, but it is that one if you can get out of it. And those people that were considering their X move to try to get McAndrew on field, I'd just abort that now. I think that's probably the play from there, just to get one of those, as you mentioned, those rucks that are playing solo. That's where we need to go, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm going to have a bit of money carrying over to next week, and there's probably a fair few people that are in that position, and I think that's a good spot to be in just in case there needs to be some sort of upgrade in the ruck department next week. And then Josh Rochelle is the other one, isn't he? Like, as far as a budget player goes, with the potential to score big in the forward line. Again, he's named on the ball, spoken about this week at various different press conferences from the Crows about how he's working on his craft and has been given a great opportunity to do so. So he just feels like it's maybe not the test match move, but in terms of value as a forward in a line where there's still some uncertainty, it feels like he's a bit of a slam dunk.
100%. Let's move to Saturday. We've got Richmond and Port Adelaide. So 4 changes for the Tigers with Fawcett, Broad, Ryan and McAuliffe in their outs. Armstrong, Ralph Smith, Algar, Rhythm and Bolter are all late or are out with being injured. Whereas the Port Power bring in Bergman, Wine, so big ones there for them with Zadao coming in to debut with Radaglia out injured. Will Brodie's been omitted, Jackson Mead omitted as well. So what we're seeing here could be an option for a Zach Butters skipper, but not too late then for, your Watkins.
Yeah, I think good sign that Ollie Wines comes back and Bergman comes back and Watkins is still in the team. I think that was probably the most important thing that we needed to see. So I think his job security looks pretty solid. I think they win. They're going to beat the Tigers, and that, again, is good for his job security. Mitch, though, mature age, 21-year-old out of the Waffle. Let's see how he goes. But there's a couple of young players coming in this week who could present us with some value as a cash cow the next couple of weeks, which we're going to need because cash gen is to slow down for a few of our preseason picks.
Yeah. Big game to watch, I guess. We'll see a little bit there at the G. On Saturday night, it is West Coast and Sydney. Your boys. Are they any chance? Probably not. But Sandy Brock, Malachi champion, Matt Owies come in. Dev Robb, big one there for us with the suspension. It'd be nice to have him in our sides this week. But again, best 18, we're lucky enough with that. Jacob Newton injured and Elliot Yeo is injured. Heaney's in for the Swans and Caden Cleary has been omitted.
From a fantasy perspective, not sure there's a lot to talk about here, given we've had these players from our team, these teams in our squads, but they're just not playing in this game. I think West Coast have now got 12 or 13 on the injury list, so they actually would have been a shout to be competitive in this game, but I think they've probably lost a few too many. I guess the only one I would ask about is it too late for Willem Dersma with the prospect of some more inside midfield time this week?
The 500k figure is just a really tough one for me, I reckon. Like, he's probably I'd prefer to, if you traded out Josh Lindsay, who is named on that halfback flank, I'd prefer to go there for the the dollars that you save, or Farrow for the Bombers, etc. Than that at the moment. That's probably where my gut feel is.
Yeah, I think he's going to score pretty consistent 70s and 80s.
Yep. But he's been good. He's been amazing.
Now that we sort of missed that initial jump, and there's probably better value options for us. But let's hope Jai Sarong pops a big score for us. It's
a bit of a structure talk with that too, isn't it? Like, it's that thing that, where you're at with your midfield, if you're buying into that, he has to be on field for that sort of cost and that price that you're doing. And it's hard to actually change structure massively with your sides. Like, it might be that parish down if you were trying to do that, but you're kind of thinking you probably want to bank a few more dollars than that realistically from a guy that you might have brought in to start with to have those few extra dollars with. So interesting one on that one. Sunday, we've got 2 games. obviously extended squads at the moment. Paddy Cross is out injured for the D's, with CJ also out injured. They bring in Luca Kentfield, Max Heath possibly also for a debut there for the, well, not debut, but club debut there for the D's. Melksham, Bill Laurie, and also Daniel Turner are into the squad, with the Suns saying goodbye to Bailey Humphrey through suspension. Christian Petrarca, obviously that happened a couple of weeks ago, but he's out injured. They've named it up as 1 to 3. You said on your brilliant podcast that it's probably more towards the 3 than the 1. So it's probably still a trade, you'd be saying, but they bring in Rao, Walter, Goulburn, Oscar Adams, and Jai Farah into the squad. But yeah, it's CP3 as he is these days, because he's changed his number to a 3 at the Suns. You're still trading this week, aren't you, do you think?
I think just take a moment on your Good Friday to check in with Damien Harvey's press conference. Because when I spoke to the club earlier in the week, they said it's closer, to the 3 than 1, which to me said 2. Mm-hmm. But it seems like he trained quite well via track reports today. So I just think this is worth monitoring. I'm still not sure I would do it in fantasy. I think you need to make the move this week. Super Coach, maybe you could talk me into potentially holding, but if it would be a 3-week hamstring when they've named it up a medium, like mid-grade, which is supposed to be 4, 5, 6. So it's hard to believe that he'd be back so soon, which is unfortunate. I mean, obviously he's been so good for us, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I don't see him coming back next week.
Is Tuke an option? He's going to get forward status. Looks like that's all but locked, basically, in the next fortnight.
Yeah, I think we need to see what the Gold Coast field looks like with Rao back. It sort of feels like Tuke's been doing a lot of heavy lifting with Rao not in the team. Once it's Petrarca, Miller, Anderson, as like all the big boys in there, like let's see how it all shakes out. But I mean, he's going to end up being must-have forward probably.
Well, he's posted 109, 92 and 108, so great numbers, but clearly no Rao, and then now we're going to get a week or 2 or 3 more without Petrarca, so that's going to sort of be the telling thing. We're not probably going to get a true reflection of where he's at, I suppose, so that's one to think about there. I guess anyone else in that side, Leo Lombard's going to live in our sides, but he's not going to make a lot of cash for us. He's going to be there. We saw the news of Doveston being out, so he's probably the one that might live between those two if you were trying to fix some stuff up with that. But it's where the cash gen isn't great, and I think we've always been here every single year. I reckon we find that forward or 2 like we might have this year that just aren't going to really put a lot of coin on. That's going to be sort of an issue with that.
Are you holding Windsor?
So Windsor here, where's he named? He's named on the wing, actually, which, we're not reading into that too much. But if it wasn't for the quarter pounder, we probably still would have been, floating around going, he's that trade out player. So I guess we do. The thing that sits in my head a little bit is Bombers next week in Gather Round. He could have an okay game.
Well, I traded Windsor to Wayne Miller. So I've actually lost points on that trade, which is a scary thing to consider. Yeah, it does. But yeah, I mean, his role is good. It's just the scoring that matched it. I mean, Max Heath isn't going to play, obviously, and Max Gawn kind of looks like the ruckman that we've all missed, considering how well he scored and there's nowhere to buy. Do you think he's the guy that we should be aiming to get into our sides to partner up with Tim English?
It's a lot of coin, isn't it? But if we are seeing this and we're seeing more and more of these dual ruck setups, like I think there'll be games where Max Heath might play and Max might even be given a rest, but geez, he's sort of the guy, isn't he? Like, we know that he can keep doing it. And realistically, we're seeing these players, and it's almost in general playing, continue on, still being guns, older. And Max, he's just so good. I think we've seen that so far this season. Last week, obviously a bit of a milestone with the 250th, but he's probably the guy. If you're looking at that, you're probably not chasing it too hard, but if you are in that position where you've got your ex, I think he'd be the guy that you'd be feeling the most comfortable in going to.
I wouldn't go him this week because his career record against Jared Witts
isn't
great in terms of ceiling scores, because Witts is such a tough match. but he'll be the long-term play, that's for sure.
Yep. All right. And then I don't even want to talk about this. $15 tickets you can get to go and see the Bulldogs against the Bombers, and that's where they're at the moment with everything they're doing. But Bulldogs, we're going to see some big scores here, I think, from the Doggies against the Dons, because the Dons are giving up plenty. Artie Jones, Will Lewis, Josh Dolan, Lockie McNeil, and then we might see a debut from Lewis Emmett. But Hines is out omitted, and Libba, with that hammy, out as well, injured. Bombers bring into the squad Cox Jaron, who could debut, Newen, and also Thomas Edwards, who's probably the likely in, I guess, for Nate Caddy, who will be missing this week. So, right, what do you got for me? I don't really want to talk about the Bombers, to be honest.
This could be the massacre at Marvel if the Dogs get going.
Yep.
So I think Farrow's interesting here. You think it's okay to wait another week? Like, do you think like Blackiston to Farrow next week?
Could be the move.
We get another look at him. It feels like Brad Scott's got a bit of faith in him. And he certainly spoke today about the fact that, like they're all in. They've got young players. Like, this is the way we're going. This is our direction. But I think Redmond being out for sort of the next 5 to 7 weeks, I think gives Farrow a really good platform to be in. Hopefully Brian goes well in the VFL. I'm just thinking from a draft perspective. And I would love to trade Blackiston, to be honest. I think we'd all like to put a bullet in him and move on. But yeah, it would be a shock if they don't bring Brian into that side pretty quickly. From a Dog's perspective, Bontempelli's he's the hottest name, right? He's the most popular trade in player. It feels like I think he got 140 on his last matchup against the Dons at Marvel, and he scores so well under the lid. Like, it feels like a fait accompli that he goes pretty here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that we will just, I guess, roll with as it is. That's probably the key thing that we're thinking about on that. It's just going to be, I do like that move. I'm not doing it though. You're going the other way. Did you consider it as a bit of a move just to try to go a big dog?
Yeah, I think there was just a few things I needed to fix up. And I just had to bring in a forward this week because I held Petrarca. So there wasn't a lot of wiggle room for me to get Bontempelli in. And as you know, there's no forward rookies that you can really go to. So I was a bit hamstrung in terms of what I'm doing with Bontempelli. What I noticed today, looking at my team, is that I don't like my premiums, like Noah Anderson and Sam Wald. I've got 5 premium mids, but 2 of them I don't really like. They don't feel like premiums. So, there's others out there who have got genuine big dogs in their team. It can happen quickly. So hopefully, my big guys can stand up. I'd love to have Bontempelli, but I'll be able to fit him in this week.
Big one to see how we're looking next week as well. And that's the thing, and it's probably my biggest thing with Bond is maybe his next few weeks aren't awesome, and that's probably, you get that instant reward this week. But yeah, we do have to keep building our teams, and value is still the play, I guess, at this stage of the season. Other ones from there, we get the Dogs had the bye last week, so you get sort of your players back. We're trading Parrish for the Bombers. I don't think there's a world that he really lives for you by choice. Is probably the thing, like if you've got all your other forced moves or things that you're doing. But Parrish is just easy to move on. Does he make the 23? Possibly does, because I don't know if they'll go full on doing that, because we didn't see into that squad. Like, it could have been someone, you might have gone to Sardis or something. That would have been the player that, if he was named in that squad, he could have been the guy that they gave a little bit of a run to. But yeah, I think that's about it. We've got the final game of the round. We don't find out these teams for Hawthorn and Geelong until 6:20 on Sunday night, but hopefully there's nothing there to worry about. I guess the small one might be brewing. Yeah,
and they've got Warp come in after he had that finger infection. He was an emergency last week, so I think Warple comes back, but I don't see it being at expense. I feel like Tannen's had enough time to recover from a broken nose, or I think that's what he came out with of the game. So I think he'll be okay. It's more just the waiting, and the waiting and hoping that I think just makes us feel a bit more anxious. But I think Tanner's good to go.
Yep. So we'll see how they look, and we're all right. I'm at this stage buying Baz. Now, are you going to be on the beat for me each week now with Baz and those potential laid outs?
I can be your personal Baz reporter if that's what you need. Because let's be honest, as a fantasy player, you actually need someone always monitoring what he's doing on and off the field to make sure that he's holding things together. Because last year I reckon we were talking about him every week.
Yep. What was it? I think it was 3 late outs last season, which were,
but
it's 3
there were
games.
Times where he wasn't turning up to training, or he wouldn't be at the captain's run, or he'd have some sort of strapping, or he's yelling at a photographer or doing something.
Or he's doing his thing on Tinder and you're asking Tom Atkins about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and look, if we need to go down that path again, we'll go there.
Drewy, happy Easter, mate. Have a good weekend. Hopefully it will be a winner for you. This time next week, though, we'll be over in Adelaide and we're going to have a live on location thing. Maybe we get the crowd to come in and watch us. No, we don't know what we're doing. The time, we might be a little bit dusty in the morning. We'll see how we're tracking. We might even see if the other boys want to come and join us, but I reckon Cal will be snoring his head off in bed when we get up and have our coffee or a hot chocolate for me, because I'm not an adult that does coffees. But, yeah, we'll be getting ready for Gather Round. I
think our best setup is bacon and egg rolls with a coffee for me, hot chocolate for you, and I'll happily shout the other boys a hot beverage if they want to be involved. Otherwise, they can piss off.
We can make it work. All right. Thanks, mate. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully now we've got through this Nick Daicos little drama this evening and see where our teams end up. Hopefully people are getting close enough to 22s. They may not be 22s this week. They could be 21s, 20s, 19s. I think Roy could even be down to about 18 the way he's looking. So he might be wearing the green vest while we're in Adelaide, which is always a nice thing for the rest of us.
On you, mate. Happy Easter. Catch you soon.